People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good morning on this fine Monday morning. I hope you're all well and safe, whoever you are, wherever you are. I hope you and your loved ones obviously are safe as well, and I extend that to your loved ones obviously. Especially with what's going on globally. You know, I'm pretty sure you've all seen the Arsenal reports and rumours and all these things, and 98% of them come to nothing. But, you know, football's not about. We're a couple of weeks away from the Premier League returning, allegedly, at this moment in time. 17th of June, I remember, if my memory serves me right. But until then, you know, we've got nothing to talk about other than the tabloids. And like I said, 99% of them is nonsense. But, you know, we've got nothing else to speak about. Before I begin, obviously, RIP to George Floyd and things like that. Sadly, you know, another day in America, another black man loses their life. Whether they have stolen something, I'm not saying he's stolen something, but I've seen people murdered for theft, murdered for petty crimes if they have been criminals, murdered for nothing, murdered riding a bike, people are murdered sleeping, just slaughtering my people. And it's upsetting seeing what's happening in America. It's upsetting seeing what's happening in Brazil. Don't get it twisted, the UK might not be out here with guns and stuff, but they're carrying on the same way. Black lives will always matter. And all these idiots who say all lives matter, you're not an idiot for saying that. But until black lives matter, all lives can't potentially matter. You don't see us as human. And, you know, shout out to all the black people out there, you know, men, women, boys, girls, stay safe. Shout out to everybody who's not necessarily that fighting the fight in it, because it's sickening. And I can't speak for everybody. Personally, I've seen, you know, it has changed me, the stuff I'm seeing on the internet, and the thing, you know, nothing's changed, it's just being recorded. And I get people don't want to see these recordings and things, and I don't to a degree, but I believe I have to keep looking at them because it's uncomfortable. I can turn it off, but that's someone's reality. Someone's lost their lives and things like that, and it's fucking upsetting, people. It's upsetting. And you know what, I'm not going to keep going into it, but all I will say is I'm not one for forgiveness and things. Every racist person burn in hell, die slow. Same goes for these racist cops and everybody else that holds ignorance in their heart and can't recognise that, yes, I might be black or yes, you might be white, but what you should judge someone on is their principles, their morals, and how they, you know, keep to themselves and how they treat others, not make prejudiced comments based on how they carry on and things like that. It's sad, and it is what it is. But moving away from that, it's not negative, but it's a necessity. Like I said, stay safe, people. But moving forward to the Arsenal reports now. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, allegedly, courtesy of L'Equipe this morning, have said that he has received a contract extension from Arsenal. The details at the time of making this video, people, I don't know. I don't know how true that is. We don't know if this is the first one. I'd imagine there's been some, you know, talks for a while and indirect proposals. We've heard there's talks. We've heard, you know, talks are at a back burner. And, you know, in today's day and age, especially with what's happening with football nowadays, retaining players and coaching are two big themes. And, you know, if we can keep Aubameyang and give him a decent deal, like our previous manager used to say, Arsene Wenger, it's like a new signing. It will give the club a boost. It's, you know, for once we've been able to keep someone whose contract nonsense has been going on for a year. Obviously he's not getting any younger, but if you build the team for a couple of years with someone that's going to get 20 league goals minimum, you don't know what you could achieve really and truly. Like I said, until he signs that new deal, we don't know. There's going to be bare twos and froms, and to a degree, you know, with our wage budget issues and our financial issues, one does wonder, without outgoings or without significant change, how Aubameyang can renew his deal. But you know, that's what L'Equipe is saying, so hopefully that is the case. Hopefully Aubameyang does stay at the club. But until you see on Arsenal.com, you know, the picture with the pen and extension, it's all wax really. Moving forward though, you know, Ismail Benassia, one of my first videos, I said this guy could be an Arsenal player, and I'm proud of his development. He's got his head down, went to Empoli, now he's at a big club in AC Milan, linked with City the other day and PSG, so, you know, he'll have a lot to say in the future, people. He's spoken in relation to his Arsenal time, and I'm not going to go over everything, just the bits of relevance. He said, I have no regrets as I still got to train with important players like Mesut Ozil and Santi Cazorla. I had 4 years left on the Arsenal contract, but I had to be at a club where they really wanted me. And I don't, and what I take from that is he didn't feel, not that he necessarily didn't feel wanted, he wanted to play first team football. He wanted to feel he was not just one of these many young players. We took him from League 2, League or the Ligue 2, or however French people would say it, no disrespect. We took him from the French division. You know, he stayed here, he made a game against Sheffield Wednesday, I believe, his debut. He went out on loan, and obviously he doesn't want to play. Why would you want to go back to under-23s football? Clearly there was issues over a pathway. I think we should have exercised our buyback clause, but it is what it is in that regards. You know, he has to be selfish in this development. You know, he came to Arsenal, he got to train with some, you know, regardless of what people say, Wenger is a world-class manager and a hallmark of football. Not too many footballers can say they've been trained under him. He got to pick up tips. He got to obviously develop away from Arsene Wenger, all the other world-class coaches at Arsenal, train with world-class players, and that's what it's about. He showed intent to come to Arsenal, learn what he needs to learn, and get the hell out of here and develop yourself when it doesn't become apparent. And that's what many players should do. If you're going to go to these clubs, these big clubs, if they're not going to play, you don't just sit around season in, season out, hoping that they're going to bring you for pre-season. Get what you can and get out. I'd like to see it from Benassia. He came here, developed for a couple of years, bust out, and now look at him at AC Milan. And who knows where his career is going to take him. Sadly, he only made one appearance for Arsenal, but he said, "I was thrown on after 2 other injuries against Sheffield Wednesday. Played wide left in a trident attack, which I never really done before. I felt incredible pressure and wasn't sure what was going on." And you wouldn't if it's not your role, if you're coming on in poor contexts. I'm sure that was one of the only appearances, if the only appearance that Christian Bielik made for the Gunners as well. And it is upsetting to know we had Benassia, Gnabry, Bielik, Marlon, and none of these guys really brought in significant, they didn't bring in any real profit for Arsenal or any real money really, especially with the Gnabry and the Marlons. But it is what it is. It's just frustrating. I'm not saying I know more than anyone connected with the club, or you know any more or any less, but it is frustrating when you as a fan can see basic decisions and it's an inability to make the correct ones. Moving forward from Benassia and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, David Luiz now. We'll get onto the Kai Jarubkin comments in a second, but I know a lot's been made over the future of the 33-year-old. How obviously it's now come to light. He actually didn't sign an outright 2-year deal. It was a 1 year with an option in theory of another year, meaning his contract in theory is running up. And at 33 years of age, it's a techie one because it's a bit like Koscielny. Before Koscielny left, we don't want to be relying on these guys in their late 30s because it's not healthy. We need to get some longevity in defence. So is there a chance to go with Saliba and a younger defender or someone? And they might, there's going to be bumps on the road. There's going to be tough educations for that young and what would be a quite young and naive pairing. But that's what we need for the future. Luiz isn't going to be here in 5 years. Luiz is probably only here for another year. But on the other hand, I do think you need at least between Socrates, Mustafi and David Luiz, 2 of them, maybe 1 to 2 needs to leave, but I do think 1 needs to stay because I wouldn't feel completely right with all these young defenders. Not that age is a problem. I do think you need a bit of an experienced pairing, whether that's Maurice staying permanently, which I think will be happening as well. But he's a bit irrelevant because his contract, he's not signed permanently right now. Is what it is. On current form though, obviously David Luiz deserves a new deal. Again, his age doesn't look like it's of any relevance. Again, we know the risks if you get injured, if this happens, etc. Financially, we'll get onto it, but it's probably best he's moved on. He's on 100 odd a week, apparently it costs 24 million allegedly to have him for just this year when you consider his wages and everything else. Obviously he's playing well, he's playing well. Arteta loves him in the same way you look at Bellerin, Xhaka, and I'd say David Luiz. And obviously there's other players, but these look like Arteta's lieutenants, like people he, if not what necessarily wants to build the team around, they're vocal for him, they're vocal in the change rooms, and Luiz is a big influence. Luiz is good obviously with the experienced players. He's been here 2 seconds and you see him very vocal on the pitch. You hear what he done in relation to the wage issues, and obviously on the pitch, especially with Saka as well, he's very good with the young players. He's very good with everybody, and he's been playing well. So just in terms of being consistent, he deserves a new deal, but it is a techie one. If it was financially, it's probably not the best decision to renew him. From purely sporting decision, he deserves a new deal. But moving away from that though, people, apparently David Luiz will have to take a 38... Obviously, he's been linked with Benfica again, and he said he wants to go back there one day. The Mirror said David Luiz will have to take a 38,000 a week pay cut to secure his dream move back to Benfica. He's still waiting for the Gunners to tell him if they will be triggering a year extension to his deal. So maybe we're planning on that, but Corona might have flipped it all because, again, from a business proposition, it probably didn't make sense to sign David. Not looking away from his form and who the player is, it didn't really make sense really to sign him. Really, financially it doesn't make sense. Financially it potentially doesn't make sense to keep him. Sporting there is one. The Athletic, I was reading a report yesterday. It said it cost up to 24 million to sign him for 1 season, which again for a team that claims they need to be prudent, watch the pennies and pounds a bit more than other teams, does that make sense? Away from David Luiz, 24 million for a 32-year-old now 33. that's down the drain. Does it make sense? And when you factor in, you know, however, what was it, anything from 2 to 5 million for Denis Suarez. I'm not saying Ceballos was a flop, but 5 million for Ceballos loan fee. Are we spending money in the right way for a team that doesn't necessarily have any? I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. I'm just trying to provoke the thoughts within you guys' minds so you can draw your own conclusions. Make sure you comment your opinions on that note. Yeah, it costs up to 24 million, to sign him for 1 season. This breaks down as an 8 million transfer fee to Chelsea, as much as 6 million to Inter. I can never say that word, but basically middlemen and agents, and obviously his agent is Kaya Jarukin. You can imagine he made some peas to fix everything up, and the rest of the Brazilian defenders 10 million a year salary. So again, 24 million on a 32, 33-year-old. It was expensive to pay to agents, expensive to pay to other people, and again to spend all of that. Where again, it's easy for me to say, could we have scouted a younger player or a player, you know, mid-20s with a different profile and been a bit more prudent? Because it doesn't make sense to me as a fan seeing 24 million gone now, really, in total. Like I said, from a sporting decision, Luiz has done his thing, but from a business proposition, I'm not necessarily feeling the right way we've been going about things, and that's really for Raul, Sanye, Edu, and everybody else to kind of put fans at ease. Luiz's agent has said, and this has come out today, or I saw it on Sky Sports News today, people. David will sit down with Arsenal before the season begins, have his conversations, and they'll both decide if he'll stay or not. That will come before the season starts. The chances are very high of Luiz being at Arsenal next season. There is no desire to leave, but again, we are going to live in a new normal. We'll have to see what Arsenal's position will be, but I believe there is a wish from both sides to continue. So again, from a sporting proposition, there is a reason to keep him. Arteta's clearly happy with my man. Luiz is playing well. You know, I've already made several points for Luiz to stay. It only comes down to finances. How much are we truly impacted about this transfer with this corona stuff? How much is this really going to impact our finances, transfer wise and wages? And I say that because obviously we all knew that it wasn't just an 8 million fee to Chelsea, but when you break it down and you look at it, 8 million, 130 odd a week, right, 8 million transfer fee, 6 million to middlemen, you know, 10 million for Luiz's salary, 24 million on a 32-year-old, 33-year-old. Now, if it was to be on the same logic, it doesn't make sense. Now, obviously, I assume there's no other transfer fee for these agents to negotiate this triggering his extension. But again, it could be a costly outlay, and it might be a thing where we say, Luiz, we want to keep you, but we have to make a tough decision because, again, the two aren't interlapped. But could we really renew David Luiz's contract on the same terms, for argument's sake, without reducing it? Give Aubameyang a new deal without obviously considering, again, we don't like to, his name is irrelevant, but the money he's on, not that it's relevant, is always going to be in debate. You've got Mesut Ozil, you've got Mkhitaryan, to a slight degree, you've got Lacazette, Kolasinac on expensive contracts as well. Decisions need to be made, and obviously the Mustafis, the El Nene, the Socrates, they're not on poor contracts themselves. It might not be the most, but every little counts. So how much can we do? And to be honest with you, for me as a fan, I'm looking at the outgoings because I do think what we're able to shift off this club, what we're able to move on, will impact what we can do, whether that's extending Aubameyang's deal, whether that's bringing in a centre-half that I want. You know, we're linked with Partey all the time. We're linked with all of these sort of guys, people. So there's a lot of decisions to be said, people. But it's nice to see there's a desire to come, at least from fan level, there must be a desire from both parties to find some agreement, or at least first choice to remain at the club. I believe David Luiz at this stage in his career should be open to everything. You know, he should be excited. He's not going to be around for the future, really, at Arsenal, is he? Let's be sensible, unless he's going to turn into coaching. But he should be open to potentially extending his stay at Arsenal. He should be open to potentially moving to Benfica. Again, I don't know, again, with this climate, but there's always going to be the Chinas, the MLSs, these sort of things. He should be open to everything, even a move back to his homeland. He should be open to it. Maybe even a move to another Premier League team where they'll give you a 2-year deal. Maybe they'll be stupid, but a 3-year deal with the same money. Luiz has to consider all of these things, in my opinion. So if I was him or his advisors, I wouldn't actually say make a rush because, again, yeah, man, you control a lot of aces. Like he said, there is no desire to leave, but again, we are going to live in a new normal. We'll have to see what Arsenal's position will be, but I believe there is a wish from both sides to continue. He's very happy at Arsenal. He's very happy at Arsenal. He has an extremely good relationship with both the coach and sporting director. He has good relationships all throughout the club, right up to the owner. He respects everybody. So that's nice to hear in Luiz's case. Speaking on another client and a man that's always linked with Arsenal and many other clubs, Philip Coutinho. We're not going to get into it because we've already spoken about him at length. But his agent, same one as Luiz has said, He has a desire to come back to the Premier League at some point. It may not happen this year. It may happen this year. We don't know. We have not discussed anything for now. Now, obviously, his agent being an idiot to come out and talk about Philippe Coutinho's future with no definitions. Because, again, if it's just on ability, there's not too many teams that Coutinho can't get into. There's not too many fans or people that wouldn't want him. The problem now comes is the expected wages, the expected outlay that comes with Coutinho and his age. Most of the big clubs, you know, the PSGs, the Munichs, I'm sure they would like to take him, but they've got priorities elsewhere. I personally, if I was Barcelona, would give him another chance. I think he's a Barcelona player and he's a good player, but they want to do things, and it's not just him. You've heard Arthur, Roberto, Semedo, Umtiti, Lenglet now even, Dembele, if I haven't said him, bare man that Barca I linked with, Griezmann even, linked with moves away for whatever Barcelona want to do moving forward to rebuild their side. I don't know. So we'll have to see what happens in that. Now, you lot know I can never say his name, but Adil Aouchiche, now his future is up in air. Apparently, Rennes are interested in him, Lille are interested in him, Arsenal and Leicester are also interested in him. St Etienne's also a great club for the young players to develop and, you know, stays in his homeland. Apparently he wants a 4 million signing on bonus as well as 20 odd thousand a week, sorry about million. That's a good project. Lille, obviously they train a lot of young players. At a point statistically had one of the youngest squads in Europe. I think that their sporting director or whoever, Lucas Campos, is leaving, but good work with identifying players. That's somewhere he could go develop for a couple of years and settle down roots. Rennes also young players. Look at Camavinga doing his thing. So it could be, you know, he doesn't have to leave his homeland. Of course I'd want him to come to Arsenal. You lot have seen my vids. It's not that I knew about players, it's just I watch football. He's a baller. I believe he can develop into a 6 or a 10 one day, 8 or a 10 one day. He's shown he can do the deep line thing. He's shown he can get forward and score goals. Lovely range of passing. He's 17, turning 18 in a couple of months, so there's a lot of development to do. On a free transfer, I think it's worth doing. You see him, you see Kouassi and Kai Ruiz, until 3 players I've made a video over, all allegedly in contract talks with PSG. I would love to bring Kouassi over here. He's a centre-half, he's a man monster. He's linked with AC Milan and Leipzig, so he might go there. I would love a deal. Now, apparently he wants to, the priority is to remain at PSG, but there's a lot of conflicting reports. Another report says he wants to assess all his options, primarily what PSG do in the market before committing his future. So apparently Arsenal have held talks with the representatives, but to say a deal is in place or pre-contract is wide of the mark. We probably put the feelers out. And for us, he ticks the boxes. He's a young player, he ties in with what we're doing. Obviously the French ties that Arsenal have can strengthen the case. Obviously there's a resale value. Now I believe he could be a top player in the future because he's shown it in the Under-17s World Cup, I believe, definitely the Under-17s Euros, definitely in the youth gen, and he's made a couple of appearances for PSG in the first team before this contractual dispute meant he's not featuring. I think there's a resale value. I think we could easily make a handsome profit. At worst, signing him for free, you'd imagine you could make a profit. So obviously he ticks the right boxes. Allegedly Arteta is keen on him, but to be fair, they said the same about the young Real Madrid lad that we was linked with a few months ago. They say it with every young player that Arteta's keen on them. I don't necessarily know that to be true. It seems they always say that. So I'd love him, people. But Football Mercato says, according to our information, an unnamed foreign club whose manager trusts young players is more than interested. Who will win the race? Lille, St Etienne, the foreign club, or PSG? We'll have to be patient as Adil will take his time to decide, and he should do. Apparently, Adil has not received an offer from St Etienne. He only visited the club's facilities. Rennes, Lille, Leicester and Arsenal are all interested. So let's see how that one goes for us and everyone else, people. Off topic, and while at the time of making this, I haven't seen on Arsenal.com a lot of credible sources, and apparently even the ex-sporting director of the club that George Lewis was at has said that we've completed the signing of the 19-year-old winger, Norwegian lad, I believe, of Rwandan descent. Obviously, there might be commercial reasons behind that, because obviously, I think, ironically, visit Rwanda, you got a Rwandan player that might do something for us in that regards. He's 19, primarily link up with Steve Bould's under 23 sides. Not watched him play, but, you know, fingers crossed he can progress to the first team. If not, he's got an opportunity to kick-start his career and do things in England. If not, there's a profit to be made. So we're wishing the young lad all the best, really and truly. Off topic, but you lot know with Corona, a lot of jobs are very sensitive at this moment. And apparently Arsenal have cut 10 odd scouts, part-time scouts who have found Saka and all of these sort of players. And I don't necessarily like the word scouts have found these players, because players are not found. You just simply, everybody sees the same players. Saka was at Watford before Arsenal, so fair enough, a scout must have seen Watford and whatever. You look at Tyrese, Amari Hutchinson, Trey Coyle, Daniel in the under-18s, Charlie Patino, even Kamara, Mavididi, even Isaac Hayden. A lot of them they weren't at Arsenal at 9 years of age. They weren't here. They were picked up off other clubs, and it's not just Arsenal who does that. There's other teams. Couple man have been bought from Leyton Orient as well. But it is sad, that's because I do think scouts don't get the reward. Scouts, it is a lonely job, people. You go, you really are rewarded. Your petrol, part-time scouts, you might be given a little signing on fee if a player officially signs, and each year he renews his deal up to scholar. You might get a little change. The team might look after your car, give you a little petrol money. But really, it's you do it because you love the game. They do it because, again, like myself, you can't put into words when you see a young player or quote-unquote discover one and whatnot. It is very tough, and, being a scout is a tough job, so I sympathise with everyone. They're told that if the situation changes, they're going to have to reapply for their jobs and go through the safeguarding protocols again, which is a kick in the teeth, but it's a reality, people. Moving away from that, though, and we've been linked with someone who plays for Nantes. I have not seen too much of him, but in the footage available online, he looks decent. Cannot say his name, but Adil Aouchiche, he's 16 years of age. He plays for FC Nantes. He's been tracked by Norwich, Everton and Arsenal. Apparently this season playing for the under-17 side, he scored 12 goals and got 11 assists. So yeah, you can imagine we need, we want all the best prospects. So he seems like a very decent, young striker, young forward. So why not go for him, people? He's also allegedly been selected for France's under-16s. Apparently Nantes are resigned to losing him. So we'll see what happens in that regards. We want the best players at our club, so why not do such? Arsenal and Spurs have allegedly inquired about Patrick Schick. I can't say his name. He was currently on a loan at RB Leipzig. Leipzig have until June the 15th to trigger his 29 million release clause. So that the two North London clubs might be linked with him to put pressure on the loan club to make his deal permanent. He's one of them players. I think he's a baller, but I can't see the hype. He's one of them, man. When they had a bit of a buzz, I couldn't see the hype. No disrespect to him. If he came, I'd defend him and obviously give him a chance. But yeah, man, I don't really buy into that one personally. Moving away from that one, though, folks, apparently Kieran Tierney and his former teammate, now business partner, Scott Brown, have launched a business. Apparently the 22-year-old Tierney and the 34-year-old Brown have launched a driving service to ferry VIPs to sporting events, gigs, corporate bashes and airports. Punters who use first-class UK transfers, which I believe is the name of the company, will be able to order champagne, beer, wine, flowers, papers and snacks for their journey, according to the website. A post on the company's social media page showed a series of hoop stars, including Leo Griffins, 29, and Ryan Christie checking out one of its Mercedes-Benz V-Class motors in March. Now, I don't know too much about cars. Naturally, obviously, you're going to get your former teammates to pose in it. It obviously helps the business. It's good PR, it's good credibility. And at 22 years of age, it's about football is a short career. And, you'd think someone in Tierney's position that's playing for Arsenal, one of the biggest clubs in England, and obviously an internationally recognised footballer, won't have to worry about finances. But football career is short. You don't know what's going to happen. It's nice to see expanding businesses and things like that. And it seems like quite a good one, So, yeah, shout out to Tierney for broadening his horizons and making more revenue streams and things. ESPN, I came across this now. Alexis Sanchez needs to probably look in the mirror, but apparently ESPN have said Alexis Sanchez became so distant towards the end of his time at Arsenal that he skipped commercial commitments and even stopped responding to internal club emails. Wenger and I'll carry on with that. So yeah, you heard he had busts up with teammates. You heard he was quite disruptive, and again, I think that says a lot about your character. And at the time, I thought Alexis not to carry on like that because I didn't know, but had every right to be demotivated, depressed, looking around at the team. But yeah, that's just not how you should carry yourself. Especially, yeah, man, you shouldn't carry yourself. And I don't take credit. I don't like seeing people fail, but I do enjoy seeing Alexis Sanchez fail, really and truly, because of how he's reacted. Because I wished him all the best. We all know, there's a separate paragraph, people, allegedly, we all know Wenger wanted to bring in Martial as a replacement. United quickly squashed that, and they had good reason to. So it didn't happen, people. So yeah, man. On that note, though, there's nothing more to speak about. So I'm simply just going to get out of here. Why waste any more time? It's always a pleasure speaking with you guys. DG.